Right, this is task six, and really these are just a series of different ratios, a mixture of non-financial performance ratios and financial performance ratios. So let's just walk through them um, as we go. So what we have here is that you have a current turnover of 16.8 million. Yeah, 16.8 million, and you sold 240,000 seats, right? And that's exactly, and that's the first point. So, you're only selling because that's what came in. So that we what came in is based on the seats that were actually occupied. I think that's the first thing to be clear about, just to make sure you don't sort of slip up on that. So you basically have the turnover divided by the number of seats that are actually occupied. That's what you sold. So 16.8 million, if you like, divided, well, you go, might as well just do it like this, and then 240,000, and let's do that. So you have 16.8 divided by 0.24 divided by 4. You have 70 pounds a seat. Right, that's the first point. And then occupancy rate of, I suppose, is really what percentage of the seats we had available, yes, were occupied. So in effect, in a way, how well did we do? Did we occupy 100 of our percent of the seats that we have available? So you have 240,000 divided 240 divided by 300, which is equal to 80%. So your occupancy rate was 80%. I suppose it's like anything, like a hotel or whatever, how many rooms were. Variable costs per occupied seat. So you did a cost of 8,400, 8.4 million, forgive me, and you had yes, you had 8.4 million over 240,000 seats. So in exactly the same principle, we can find the situation here, and we had variable cost of 35 pounds, if you like, seat. So what you're having here, if you like, is your selling price at 70. You have your variable costs, which is really your cost of sales of 35, and you have your gross profit at 35. And so your gross profit margin is the relationship between your gross profit and your selling price, which is equal to 35 over 70, and that's 50%. Yeah, 50%. Right. As we have that, and you're just following the question. The next question tells us to calculate the fixed costs per occupied seat. So we have a total fixed cost of 6,3. Just give myself some space over here. 631, 63, 150 divided, of course, by the number of occupied seats, and that's 240,000. Yes, the fixed cost per occupied seat. So you have that, and so you have here 6310150, 631 divided by 240,000, and that's 26.29. It says just around to the two decimal places. I'm going to say, yeah, 26.29 is really the answer there. 26.29 is the fixed cost per occupied seat. Okay, great stuff. So the contribution per seat as well is 35, because it is literally selling price minus the variable cost, isn't it? So you have here 35 pounds, isn't it? Because you have 70 and then you have a variable cost of 35. Right. And therefore, when it talks about break even literally is, of course, how many seats are we selling, or how many seats do we need to sell to be able to pay off our to pay off our fixed costs. And so really all I'm asking you to do here, or they're asking you to do here, is to then go ahead and say fixed costs of 6310150, add contribution of 35. Let's find out how many units we need to sell. 6310150 divided by 35 means you need to sell 180,290 seats. So you need to sell 180 to 90 seats. Break-even turnover naturally would be this figure times 70, wouldn't it? So you just multiply that by 70 and you're at 12 million 620, 300. Yes, is how you can see it, right? So from your break even sort of situation, what you now have is you now have your break even number of seats. Um, so you have here, I'll just do it this way. So I'll just draw a line. And so you have your break even number of seats. Your break even number of seats is 180,290. You had occupied 240,000 seats. So the safety here, the safety issue here is this. You can fall by, the question is how many seats can you fall by before you're in trouble? And if you like, so that's 240,000, of course, minus 180,290 divided by, of course, the starting point of 240,000, isn't it? Right. And that's kind of the point here. 240,000 minus 180, 290 divided by 240,000. Of course, and there you have here 24.8, 24.88, because if you do your calculators, you see that you carry on for a little, 88%. So you have 24.88% as your margin of safety. This is an interesting point here, this question of markup. Typically, we see the word margin used a lot, and let's sort of see the situation. So what we have here, of course, is when we talk about a markup, what we're really asking is that you have a selling price of 70, you have here 35, and then you have a gross profit of 35. Now, markup comes from the point of view of production. We sort of say this is what we've spent making the product. This is what we spent making the product. Oh, sorry. This is markup on total cost. So from that, sorry, forgive me. I was talking about just purely the initial markup, but the markup on the total cost here, given that I know what my fixed cost is per seat, and let's do that. Let's just follow the question. Actually, it's easier to get carried away. I think it's easier to follow the question. Just follow it to the letter. So what you have here is you have 70 minus 35, which is your variable cost, which is 35, and then you now take away 26.29, which gives you 35 minus 26.29 gives you 8.71. Yes, and so on your total cost, because it uses the term total cost, so I know it's not just the variable cost. So that's 35 plus 26.29, and I have 61.29. So in a way, I have this sort of 70 minus this is giving me £8.71. So how much extra am I putting on the total cost to get to my 70, if you like, is what it's really asking. As based as a percentage of your total cost, what is your profit, if you like, if you think about it that way. So we're working from the point of view of production. How much do I want to sell something for? This is what it cost me to produce. How much on top of that am I going to what percentage am I going to put on that? And that, of course, must be the £8.71 over 61.29. So £8.71 divided by 61.29 is 14.21%. So I'm sitting at 14.21% as my, if you like, markup on the total cost of production. The full cost, should I put it that way? Total cost, the full cost, including the fixed costs of production as well. And that's how you deal with that question.